What is going on, beautiful people? I hope and pray that you are all doing phenomenally well. So, I'm extremely excited to be bringing you this video because it is probably one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about when it comes to real estate investing and getting started in real estate. That is the actual negotiations, how to talk to sellers, my thought process on talking to sellers, and kind of my angle. So I'm really going to be sharing a lot of those things with you on this video today. But first, if you could subscribe, click the link, to share this stuff if anybody needs to hear this. And also, special announcement, let me get this out of the way. I am now offering my wholesaling boot camp completely for free. There are so many people in here who are struggling to get started with wholesaling real estate, and I want to make it achievable for so many of y'all. So down in the description, I will have a link for a 45-minute training on how to get started in wholesaling real estate. Make sure you watch the boot camp and let me know what questions you have there. But let's get to the matter at hand, so to speak. Talking to sellers. So, number one, when we're talking to sellers, specifically for your real estate deals, your off market deals, there's four things that I want to get out of every single conversation with the seller. Okay. And I'm going to explain all four of these. Number one, why they want to sell. Why they want to sell is so important because we need to find people that don't just want to sell, they need to sell. Does that you understand what I'm saying there? Meaning they're going through a situation in their life. And by them selling that property provides a solution to the thing that they're going through. I am seeing too many new investors trying to force a deal, and we don't want to do that. If you go and you offer a seller 70% of their property and they don't have anything going on in their life, they will be insulted. Are you with me? All right. So you need to remember or find out, why are they interested in selling? What is their level of motivation? And this is how this would sound. When I call a seller, I'd say, hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Clifford. I'm reaching out to see if you're interested in an offer on your property. If they say yes, what's your offer? I'll say, awesome. So let me ask you, what has you interested in selling? I'm going to say something along those lines, because by me saying or making that statement, what got you interested in selling lets me identify their why very quickly. Are you with me? And so it's just that simple. If they go and they say, oh, I'm only interested in selling because you called. Okay, well, that lets me know that they're not that motivated. So I can come back and say, oh, okay, so you're not actively looking to sell, correct? Right? Or if they say, well, yeah, we're looking to sell, we've been kind of thinking about it for a while. We're trying to relocate. So now I can start to gauge their level of motivation. So that's number one, why they want to sell. Number two, price point. Okay. I think I'm pretty good at what I do. Okay. But we need to have realistic expectations. If a seller is asking $500,000 for a property that I know we can only pay $200,000 for, I am not going to be able to talk somebody down $300,000 despite how good I think I am. Okay. And so there needs to be some type of realistic expectation there. So I may ask the seller, hey, do you have a ballpark or price range in mind that you would like to get for the property? I want to know what their number is. I want to know what their expectation is. Not just so I insult them with a lowball offer, but I also don't want to overpay for a property when I don't have to. Let me share this story with you. So I had a seller in Dallas. This was a probate property. He lost his mom. He inherited this house. The house was in awful condition, awful condition. And so I ran my numbers and I took into consideration the repairs and all of that stuff. I ran my formula and I forgot to ask him how much he wanted for the property. And so I called him and I said, you know what, Mr. Seller, I think I could offer you about $50,000 for the house and still cover all the closing costs. This guy lost it in a good way. He was like, what? $50,000? I didn't even think we would get 30,000 for this property. And I was just like really kicking myself in the tail because I ended up wholesaling that property for, 58,000. So I only made $8,000. Now, am I mad I only made $8,000? No, I'm not. Okay. But that could have been a $28,000 assignment fee had I simply asked him, how much were you looking to get for the property? Because he could have came back and said, I would love to get 30,000. And then when I ran my numbers, I could have said, you know what, Mr. Seller, I can definitely meet you where you are and get you that $30,000. So it actually works on both sides of the coin. Okay. So make sure you get a price. That's number two. Number three, how soon do they need to sell? Right. Because if they're facing foreclosure or something like that, and let's say, for example, they go to foreclosure next week, well, that's going to affect how we move. It can also affect the price because being able to close on a property at a certain price in 2 weeks is completely different from being able to get somebody to close on it in a week, right? We may even need it at a deeper discount because we're up against such a strict timeline. So we need to know what the time frame is. And then the fourth thing that I like to ask from a seller is the status of the property. That's kind of how I categorize it. And what I mean by this is the house vacant? Is it owner occupied? Are there tenants in place? Are there squatters in place? I need to know what's the status of the property because it also affects the way we move. If we have tenants in there, if we're going to do a wholesaling strategy on this property, well, guess what? We have to get in buyers over there to walk the property. We need to coordinate those things with the tenants that are in place. And so it just really affects the way that we move. But in a nutshell, when I'm asking these four pillar questions, the why they want to sell, the price, the how soon, the status, it's all through having a quality conversation. Okay. I'm not very scripty. I'm not a scripty person. I like to let the conversation flow as naturally as it can. If I called you right now and I said, hi, my name's Clifford, I'm reaching out about your property, like that's so impersonal. It sounds so robotic. And most of us can tell when somebody is just reading off of a script. Okay. None of these videos that I'm doing are scripted, right? I like to just let it flow as naturally as possible because I believe that people feel that genuine energy from you. I think it's a huge thing. I think it's a real thing. I really do. Right. So don't worry about having all of the perfect words to say, having all of the right things to say. Right. Let your conversation flow naturally more than anything and build on that. Build rapport. Okay. Trust and rapport. That is the only way that people will do business with you. They need to like you and they need to trust you. And sometimes that can even take multiple conversations. Okay. And so I can even do another video if you like on following up and follow up sequence and what that looks like. So let me know in the chat if that's something that you want to see. But in a nutshell, make sure you ask those four pillar questions when you're having quality conversation.